Don't want to mess up the YouTube algorithm with profanity or the C word. But all right, yeah, let's get this underway. Super Wild Card Weekend. It's Friday. Final injury reports are out. The lines are pretty much all settled. Not expecting any significant line moves from now till kickoff. Even with the limits being increased on game day, normally we'll see line moves on game day because the sports books increase their limits to the highest they'll be all week. All the line moves we have seen are pretty much all money related. It's not, there hasn't been any key player news like we've seen. Uh, it almost seems like the C word there for the flu, it doesn't exist during the playoffs. We haven't had any cases, and it's nice to not have to monitor all these cases or protocols and stuff. But yeah, I mean, for as far as I can remember, this playoff seems like the most wide open it's been. There's no like clear runner. Like last year, Tampa Bay, I had the future on them. I got good odds on them, but that was at the beginning of the year. But by the playoffs, they were pretty much. I was pretty confident in them winning it all. A couple things before I get into the actual game breakdowns I want to discuss. Just some normal playoff stuff. Some of you guys have already heard me go over this. Um, we've been doing this for 3 years now, and I feel like I repeat a lot of this stuff, but some members might not remember, some forget. But during the NFL regular season, we know that the team that wins also covers the spread roughly 70% of the time. Well, in the playoffs, that increases to roughly 85% of the time. So really, it's just pick the winner. As easy as that sounds, of course, it's not that easy, but yeah, the team that wins will also cover roughly 85% of the time, and it's even more, I believe, in the wild card round specifically. Um, so it's something to think about. If you're betting the dogs, you might want to put a little bet on the money line um, as well. Because if they're going to cover, it's likely that they will win outright. And it happens every year. I see it. So uh, another thing too, I've noticed. People are stressing about not having opinions on certain games, and we don't have to bet every game. Keep that in mind. Bet the ones you have an opinion on. Don't force bets on the ones you don't. That's degenerate type stuff. And it's what squares or losing bettors do. They feel like they have to bet or have a pick on every single game. Another thing, during this week, we see all types of trends. It's the week for all these crazy trends we see. And what I always say about trends is, if you want to know if it's a trend that's just noise that means nothing, or a trend that has meaning, or that it's actionable information, you go back to third or fourth grade, the scientific method. I think it was around then, maybe fifth or sixth grade. I don't know, and I don't remember exactly what it is. I remember a couple of them, but it was, it's observe or ask a question, why. So if you see a trend, you observe and ask the question. The next one is you research or look into it. Um, then you want to form a hypothesis, or basically, find a reason on why. And then there's a couple other steps, but then you come to a conclusion. So if the trend is easily explained, you got something there. What's one I saw today? Trying to think of kind of like a meaning. There's so many of them. A number three seed versus a number six seed in the wild card matchups, right? Over the last 9 seasons, the under is 15-2-1. That's when a 3 seed plays a 6 seed. The under is 15-2-1. Now, why is that? I can't think of any reason for why that is. So I'm not gonna, put any weight into that. Now, a trend that means something, a rookie quarterback, they're 2-9 rookie quarterbacks since 2010. When a QB is making his first playoff start, not just a rookie, it's just his debut in the playoffs. They're 16-36 since 2002. Now, this one has, an easy, explainable reason. Um, lack of experience. The coach might, kind of tighten up the play calling. There's a bunch of different reasons why rookies might not have success in the playoffs. So, or dome teams outdoors in the playoffs. Um, they don't fare too well. I think the last thing I saw was like a 38% win rate or something like that. Dome teams playing outdoors in the playoffs. I mean, that has an explanation there. The playoffs are in cold weather months. They might not kick and pass as well in the cold or the wind. So, when they're used to playing most of their games outdoors. But yeah, it's pretty simple. When you're looking at a trend, if you can explain why pretty easily, then you got something. But you don't want to just blindly be betting, these trends when you can't explain a reason why. Um, the unders in general, 66% in the wild card round. Just a simple unders in wild card round, 66%. And to me, that kind of makes sense. Again, we're talking about in January or December. Um, a lot of times we have, QBs making debuts. So, that angle kind of fits in there. But yeah, another thing too, during the regular season, a lot of times during these breakdowns, I will look towards like situational handicapping and talk about look ahead spots or let down spots. And I kind of weight those with some importance. It's not the end all be all, but um, like so for if we get an example, say the Raiders this week, they're coming in on a short week after an overtime game. Now they have the first game of the weekend. Now, normally this would be considered a letdown spot, but with it being the playoffs, there's really no such thing as a letdown spot. They're obviously going to be completely motivated for this. They're not looking ahead or, they're going to be up for this game. And the numbers show this as well. There's no data that shows a dip in performance for any teams coming into the playoffs on a short week or with less rest. So, just a couple things to keep in mind. Um, Now, a system that I look towards every year, I have been for, I don't even know, probably since I started using Bet Labs and SI, but it's a very, very simple system. Underdogs of +4 or more when they're getting 50% or less bets. So, Um, it's just an underdog of +4 or more, and they're not getting many bets, 50% or less, 63% win rate. Um, and it makes sense too. Playoffs, we have an increase in recreational bets or, public action, which creates inflated lines on the favorites. And it kind of provides value on the underdog teams that are, getting no love from the betting public. So now, does this mean that I'm going to go and bet every team that matches this system? Which as of now, I think would be the Raiders, Patriots, Eagles, and Steelers. They're all getting less than 50% of the bets, and they're underdogs of +4 or more. But it's just something worth noting. Again, it's not going to be something where I bet all four of those teams are teams that fit that system, but it's about putting a bunch of pieces of the puzzle together. But all right, let's get into the games themselves. We'll just start with the first one. Yeah, Vegas and Cincy. What do we got for a current line here? Let me pull it up. All right, we got an opener Bengals 6 with 48. Um, it's dipped down to 5.5. We're seeing 48 still, some 47.5s out there. Pro money or sharp betters, they took all the plus 6.5s and plus sixes on Tuesday. They hit the Raiders pretty much all at once and wiped out all the sixes that were available. This Bengals Raiders game is going to be the only matchup where we see both QBs and both head coaches making their playoff debut. Now, I have a best bet on this game. First half under 24. A lot of that has to do with these playoff debuts. Uh, um, it's going to be real cold there. I think we see both quarterbacks kind of start off a little slow. This is a rematch from the regular season. Cincy closed as 2.5 point favorites, and they won that game, the first meeting, 32-13, but bit of a misleading score because it was 16-13 in the fourth quarter, I believe, at one point in the fourth quarter. But the Raiders outgained the Bengals in yards per play by close to almost two full yards. Um, and really, I got to thank Fonz, remember Fonz, for kind of pointing me in the direction of the under because I do have a bet on the full game under as well. But when you look at this game, you're looking at a total of 48.5, 48. That's 3 points above the league average this year. And we're talking about a playoff game, so and again, two QBs making their first playoff start. We talked about their struggles compared to the regular season. Two head coaches making their playoff debut, and historically, we've seen that more tighter or more conservative play calling, at least to start the games, And yeah, Bengals offensive line 30th in pass block win rate. And I talked a little bit on Monday about Burrow under pressure, how he can still kind of move the ball under pressure. He leads the NGS era, which is like the next gen stats era. They started tracking stuff like this in 2016. It's just like advanced stats, next generation stats. He leads this era with 9.7 yards per attempt when facing the blitz. But here's the big thing: the Raiders, they can get pressure without blitzing. They have the lowest blitz rate in the NFL at 15%. Max Crosby leads the league in QB pressures. Um, and there's a big difference between, Burrow throwing against the blitz with those three wideouts, and then throwing into, full max coverages. So, yeah, I like Rich's bet. He's got the Raiders, so that's the side I lean there. But I really think under first half. Wind is normally the killer for scoring. We always talk about wind killing the totals, but there's a significant drop in QB performance in cold weather too. Um, a prop I'm looking at in this game too is Darren Waller. Even though it's gotten some steam down, I'd be if I bet this, I'd be kind of fading steam because he has actually dipped a little bit. But if you look at Darren Waller, the first time they played, uh, he kind of went off a little bit. And since he's just terrible defending the middle of the field in the passing game. And when you look at Cincy's schedule of opposing pass offenses, um, 31st when it comes to opponent success rate in the passing game. Um, yeah, they rank dead last in yards per target allowed and 24th in success rate allowed to tight ends in the middle of the field. So, since he's not defending tight ends or the middle of the field well, and they haven't played anybody good in the passing game, so it's pretty telling there. But Yeah, Raiders under there for me in that one. Let's move right along to the next game up. Uh, Patriots, Buffalo. This one's probably the toughest game for me, because I mean, my numbers, I make this game Buffalo 4, uh, and this was painted pretty much 4.5 all day, Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, Pinnacle moved to 4, and every book followed, and now we're back up to 5 at Bookmaker, 4.5. Seeing -115 at Bet Online. So we've seen this matchup twice now. We got the Patriots closed -1 last game. Um, this is just such a tough one for me because um, I don't know. This game comes down to me. Like if I knew uh, the run and pass rate for both teams, well, if I could just know how often Buffalo passes in this game or how often the Patriots run, obviously I can't, but that would solve so much. If the Bills aggressively pass, they're going to have success. If the Patriots can run and they get physical up front, they're going to have success. Um, but the side isn't really what I'm looking at here. This is the lowest total on the board. And I've been saying this all year that I think these two defenses are very overrated. Their numbers are great, but a lot of it has to do with the opponents and situation of the opponents they've played. A lot of backup QBs. If you go back and look at both these teams, they've caught teams like, completely banged up with backup quarterbacks. And we're talking about the number one and number two rated defensive teams here. Buffalo being number one, uh, and New England being the number two rated defensive team. And I think that kind of skews the total here. The second meeting when they played, it was played in the 50s. It was like 33-21 or something like that. And the Patriots didn't do anything in the passing game. And another thing, too, when you have two good defenses, it doesn't automatically mean no scoring. Now, I bet the over 43.5 in this game, and I've been wanting to post this as a best bet. The only problem is it's 44 pretty much everywhere, and then I don't want to post it at 43.5 and then have people buy down to 43.5. So if a couple books show 43.5, I'll post it. But other than that, I don't think I'm gonna post it. But yeah, even say if these two defenses are who they are, if they are the number one and number two, like I said, it doesn't automatically mean it's low scoring because good field position can come from good defense. There's turnovers leads to short fields. Um, but yeah, it's tough. Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, but I've heard that all week. Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, first playoff game, but I weigh that a little less because it's the third time they're going to be seeing, the Bills. You give Belichick a third chance at a team, I think you can draw something up here. And, I think Buffalo is getting a lot of credit for their late season win streak, but, who they beat? The Jets, Falcons, Panthers. The Patriots are involved in that win streak, but yeah, I'm not buying it. But obviously, I'm rooting for the Patriots there. But I think we see some points in this one, so I'm going over the total. Patriots Bills. I bet 43.5, and it will be a best bet if I can see some books start to pop up with that number. But I'm not going to post it at 43.5 while everyone can only get 44. That doesn't do anybody any good. But what do we got next? Going on to Saturday, Eagles Bucks. Um, yeah, this is another one I got kind of a strong opinion on. Got a bunch of teasers opened up with Tampa Bay, closing one out, and then opened another one up. Current line, looking at 8.5 pretty much. Some books use that teaser blocker. They'll like Five Dimes is known for that. Pinnacle showing a 9.5 right now too, but it's pretty much to defend against teasers, um, which I got down Tampa Bay -2 and -2.5 on the teaser, which is really the only true optimal teaser this week. If we look at the Wong teaser strategy, it's Tampa Bay. Um, I wish there was another team to pair it with this week. I was thinking about Kansas City, but at 13 now, I don't think it will get there. I would need 12.5 to get to 6.5. But yeah, this total got hit up. Uh, Mostly weather related though. Open 49.5. It's down to 45.5. But we're expecting some really bad weather there. Wind gusts of 30, some rain. Really like Tampa Bay here, but the weather's really not conducive to their style of play. But I mean, the Eagles don't have a win versus a winning team this year. Anytime they step up versus um, a better opponent or a team that's got a winning record, they lose. The Bucks played in Philly earlier this year in October, I think it was. They closed as a 7-point favorite in Philly on the road. Eagles covered, but the Bucks dominated that game. It was 28-22 final score. The Bucks kneeled it out inside the 5 late. So really that final score is a little bit misleading, and a lot's changed since that game. But it's a reference point. Even with injuries, though, for the Bucks, they're still top 3 in passing success rate, passing TDs, EPA, expected points added. So, um, and the Bucks, yeah, they have the injuries at receiver, but Brady's going to lean on Gronk. Eagles have allowed the most receptions and most touchdowns to tight ends. And I think honestly, this is the worst matchup, or biggest mismatch, I should say. Philly's allowed the highest QB completion percentage of 70%. And I talked a little bit about it on Monday. Um, the strength of the Bucks offense is the Eagles' weakness in defending the pass, and Eagles just don't have the bodies or the personnel to defend the pass either. It's not about scheme or anything, but I mean, everywhere you look, the first time playoff head coach Nick Sirianni versus Bruce Arians, who's a veteran in the playoffs, and you got Hurts, first time playoff QB, Brady. It's just such a bad matchup. Eagles like to run. Bucks best run stopping team in the league. Yeah, it's just the Bucks' only weakness is really defending the deep ball, and Philly doesn't have the ability to force the ball downfield. Um, but yeah, um, let's move right along here. Next game up would be San Fran Dallas. I'm gonna go to SI here, even though I don't want to look at the money percentages right now on SI. They're a little skewed. I'm not trusting them. I mean, if you look 9% of money on Cincinnati on the spread, yeah, no, that's not accurate. But we're looking San Fran, Dallas. Another kind of tough one. Dallas -3. Five Dimes open 2.5, but that was juiced. Um, San Fran to me is the side. I think the Niners are undervalued, and the Cowboys are probably a bit inflated. I'm not gonna, like when I was doing my power rating numbers, I'm not gonna give Dallas a bump up on ratings for beating an Eagles team full of backups. And then what, they beat a Washington team with 30 players on the sick list. And then when you look at the Cowboys' schedule too, and the teams that they've beat and then lost to, it's pretty interesting. I know you can't control your opponent and all that stuff, but they've basically lost to any playoff caliber team, and then they've beat the bad teams. And um, Dallas is getting some credit for their wins down the stretch, but they beat Washington twice, who, like I said, they had a team basically 30 players on the sick list and injuries. Neither time were they at full strength. They beat New Orleans with no Kamara. They beat the Giants, a bad team that had given up. They lost to Arizona. Then they put a 50 up on Philly backups. Eagles sat everybody. Um, yeah, I mean, Dallas, they're pretty weak against the run. I think they rank like 23rd in success rate, and they really haven't faced many teams that have a strong running game either. The Niners like to run, and it's one of their strengths. Um, this one's a weird matchup. I haven't touched anything on it yet, but and I like the Dallas team. I like their defense, but I think their pass defense is gettable too. If they're not forcing turnovers, they're giving up yards in bulk, and they give up a lot of penalty yards because their cornerbacks jump routes and they're so aggressive. And I think the Niners' passing game is underrated. What we saw in the second half from the Niners last week, I think that's really their passing game. Um, yeah, I almost look at this game too for San Fran as their second playoff game because last week was basically a playoff game for them. San Fran was down 17-0 last week against the Rams. And I think when teams come back like that, from being down big and then come back, it shows a lot about a team. But and another thing I'm noticing too, I feel like Gallup, the wide receiver for Dallas, that's a bigger loss than I think we've seen them kind of show. I like him a lot too. But I do think the line is fair though at 3. But I also think Dallas is getting a little bit more respect than they deserve. But I'll tell you this: if Dallas gets through San Fran, Super Bowl, I really feel like they could make the run because this will be the toughest matchup they have right here, San Fran. Um, yeah, but what else we got here? The nightcap on Saturday, Pitt KC. Uh, yeah, I mean, I would love to see, um, Pitt and Big Ben, keep this dream season alive, if you'd call it a dream season. But I just don't see it. I don't see how it happens. We're looking at 12.5 or 13. It's pretty much split across the board, depending on the book. Uh, if you look at that first meeting, KC had a bunch of people out. They were all sick. Kelsey didn't play. Tyreek Hill was limited in that game. He said after he was puking, or he was just coming off of being sick. They didn't have a bunch of key starters on defense at all 3 levels. The game closed at 10, and it was probably the easiest win of the year for Kansas City. They're gonna have all those guys back. You know, Steelers. It's a great story, but they're on borrowed time. The way you attack this KC defense is through the air, like 15, 20 yards down the field, like how Joe Burrow was doing. The Steelers can't even do that with Big Ben. It's a perfect matchup for KC. They're built for playing with leads. Uh, what was that? Last time they played, I had bet KC in the first half. I was looking to do that again this game, but I missed getting -7 in the first half. And at 7.5, it's a little too risky. But the Steelers in the first half, I believe, the last 6 weeks of the regular season, or I posted it in the betting network Discord. They were outscored 113-19 or something like that. I think they've only I don't even think they've scored a touchdown in any of those games in the first half. It's completely lopsided. Yeah, it was week 16, and I was all about KC first half, and I bet them. And it won easily, and I was looking to do it this week as well, but I missed that 7. I don't want to lay 7.5, but I am looking at KC as a potential teaser leg if I can get them to 6.5. I know it's not the optimal teaser strategy from 12.5 down to 6.5, but I am looking to pair them up with Tampa Bay possibly. All right, Monday night game. This is a game. This is another tough one for me. I have some strong opinions, but then I have games like this where they could just go either way. Uh, Line's 4. 49. Both teams coming into this game off a loss, which is kind of rare, I guess, for playoff teams. It's a divisional game. It's the second divisional game in the playoffs, with the Patriots and Bills being the other one. So there's some familiarity there. It'll be the third meeting, so it's the rubber match because they split the regular season. Line closed 3 in both the games. I guess the question now is what's changed, because it's 4 now. But I guess if I had to play this one, I'd be looking towards the over. They scored 110 combined points in the first 2 meetings. Um, and like I talked about on Monday with kind of like the playoff tips or, sharp betting tips, Arizona's such a big difference without Hopkins, and we don't know what's up with him. I don't think he's going to be available. But yeah, weeks 1 to week 13 when he started and played, Arizona was number 2 in offensive EPA and offensive success rate. Without him, they're like 16 and 14 without number 16 and number 14 in success rate without him. So it's such a big difference. But I think this one comes down to kind of like turnovers. Last 3 games, Stafford has I think like 7 picks or something like that. But Arizona's limping into the playoffs here. They're 1-4 their last 5. I wonder if anyone's seen anything on J.J. Watt too. I wonder if he's going to be back. He's definitely not the same anymore, but he's still helpful in the run game, to stop the run. And Rams, if they stick to the run, with Cam Akers and Sony Michelle, I think that's their path to success. There is sticking to the run, but McVay abandons the run so quick. If they're not getting like big chunk yards early, he just goes to the air. Uh, One thing I do like about Arizona, they've been really good on third down conversion rates. Uh, and in the 2 games they've played the Rams, they converted like 57, 58% of their third downs, and the Rams defending the third down conversion rate have been in the bottom half of the league, like the bottom third, I should say, in opponent third down conversion rate. Um, the Rams, what is it? I think it's number 91 on defense, a defensive lineman. Gaines, maybe? Big dude. Big fat dude, but he moves. I like him. Gaines. Uh, but him and Aaron Donald up front, they play like 98% of the snaps. And I have a feeling, them chasing around Murray all game might lead to them gassing out late in the game, and they could need them for a big crucial stop. So something to kind of keep an eye on there. But yeah, if I had anything on this game, I'd be looking towards the over. But I think that's it. That's the Monday night game, right? Yeah. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this one. We'll get this recorded and posted up on the tube. Good luck with